Hey everybody, this is Taylor Moss here from Everything Under the Sun. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a After Effects video we saw earlier in the week from Robert from Everything Under the Sun. Looks pretty sweet. It's a pretty cool effect, and we're going to show you how to do that today. Looks pretty cool. Alright, so first thing we'll need to do is open After Effects and make a new composition. We'll just call it main. I always make mine 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames a second, and duration we can have is 10. For this you're going to need Trapcode Particular. It's a plugin for After Effects. If you have the money to buy After Effects, you probably have enough money to buy Trapcode and all the other Trapcode plugins. If you got After Effects through different means, you can probably get Trapcode through those same means. Alright, so the first thing you'll need to do is import your walls. I got a brick picture off the internet. I believe I just googled it. So, if we throw it in here, and we can scale it down a bit, this is basically going to be our wall, our ground, our above and below. So what we'll need to do is make sure it's a 3D layer. In fact, every single thing we're going to be doing in this composition is a 3D layer, so make sure you remember that and always check that. Alright, so if you press the W tool or go up here and click this and rotate this on the Y axis, make sure you hold shift so it goes completely horizontal and snaps, and then press V or click on the arrow tool over there and slide this to the left. Next, make sure you name these. We'll name this one right. Now we'll need to duplicate it, so click on this and press Control D, and that will make right 2, or in this case left. And if we select left and swing it over to the other side, we will have our left wall. Alright, now let's make our roof. We'll name this roof. So for roof, move this out here. In fact, I would go into the transform under this rotation and zero that out so it's just flat again, and then from here press W and rotate on that X axis, holding shift of course, and then throw that up there. One of the things that's nice about a composition like this is it doesn't really matter see how this is like bigger than the rest of it or anything like that, because the way it's set up and the way the layers are laid out, you can't tell. So now let's make the floor. Remember, I'm pressing Control D while I have the layer selected to duplicate. So now I'm gonna slide this on down here. Alright, and now we'll make our final wall, and Control D, and we'll call this one back. And we will also zero out the rotation on this bad boy, and we'll throw it backwards in the Z axis. Alright, so the first thing that you saw in Bob's video was that he had a camera and it panned around. So if we go up here and go to new and get a camera, we'll just call this camera main. You can see that we're having a little bit of problems there, so we can in fact, let's just scale this up. So now we don't have that issue anymore. Alright, so what he did with his camera is he went over to the orbit camera tool, I believe. He started at right here and then just made keyframe. And all the way to the end. And then he made another keyframe. So now we have that nice pan effect that he has in his video. As you can see right here, there's a little bit of a gap there, which just means our thing's a little too far in the Z axis, so just move that up and make sure everything's good to go there. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we need to darken our scene a little bit. His is really dark, so go to new and then make an adjustment layer. For this adjustment layer, go over here to the presets and type in curves, and we'll throw that on the adjustment layer, and we will just kind of see if we can't darken this up a bit. Alright, so that gave it a little more color and a little more depth. Looks pretty good. Alright, so now that we have that done, this is pretty much good to go. So next what we'll need to do is we'll need to make our ball. So if you go up here to layer and go to solid and make a new solid, we'll call this particular, and you can make it any color you like, it does not matter. Then go up to effect, go to trap code and trap code particular. So if you scroll over, you'll see we have this nice little effect here, but that's not exactly what we want. First, we want it to move around, and second, we want it to not be an explosion, but a streak. So first thing we'll need to do is go to layer, new, and make a new null object. We will rename this and call it controller. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to make this particle emitter we have here follow this null object at all times. So if you go up, make sure that you click on controller and press P to bring that into position. So then if you bring up particular and go to the emitter, alt click on position XY and it will bring this up. Take the pick whip tool and pick whip that to position. But before we do that, make sure that both of these are indeed 3D layers, because that will make a difference. So then grab your pick whip tool and go to position. Also, you're going to want to have to alt click on position Z and pick whip that to the Z axis of position. So now this will follow this null object wherever it will go. Alright, so now let's give it a little bit of a movement. So the first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to make this null object. The way Bob did it is he put a keyframe at the very beginning and at the very end in the exact same spot, and he used the wiggler. So the wiggler is found under window and then wiggler, and by default it will either be here or here. Alright, so if you click on position, you'll highlight these two frames and enable the wiggler. So the frequency is how often it will wiggle. So I'm going to set that to 2, and the magnitude is how much wiggle it will wiggle. I'm going to set that to 300 at the beginning, hit apply, and see how that looks. Alright, so we have quite a bit. I think that might be a little too much, so Control Z that, and we'll turn that down to 200. Hit apply, and that should be good. So now, as you can see, it's rolling around, it's flying everywhere. But it's still not that streak. We're looking for that streak effect. So what we'll need to do is go to particular and go up to the emitter and turn the velocity to 0. And there is our streak. So now we'll have to change a few more things. First off, I'm going to change the size to, let's try 7 maybe? Let's try 8. Alright, so to 8, I'm going to change the life to about 1 second, so it's a lot smaller. In fact, I'm going to change that to about 0.4 maybe? Yeah, it looks pretty good, probably 0.5. Alright, so I'm going to change it to 0.5, and then I'm also going to turn the amount of particles up to get it to be more of a solid streak. So now we have this nice solid streak flying around, but something Bob did is his was colored. So we're going to do a color over life and drop down the color over life. Click this gradient. We'll have it white at the beginning, and we'll make it a nice orange at the end. So that looks pretty good. Yeah. Alright, so then we also have to drop down the opacity over life and click that. So now we have it kind of fading away as we go, and also let's do size over life and just do a default ramp. So now it's really starting to look like that really wispy thing we had before. I think I will actually turn up the life to about 0.7, and I will bring this slider over just a tad to give it a little darker wisp as it floats about. Alright, so now that we have that, we need to add the embers that were falling off before.